This is our FY25 mini grant info session. Good morning to everyone. So what we're going to do is just a quick overview of our mini grant funding opportunity. We're going to give you some tips and some frequently encountered errors that we've seen in the past, and then answer any questions that you might have right now. But of course, if there's a specific question that is specific to your organization, you're also free to, call us, email us afterwards. So we invite you to put questions in the chat. You can unmute and ask them out loud, but we'll get to that mostly at the end. Everyone good? Everyone ready? All right. All right. Well, I guess we should also start with introductions as well. So my name is Emily Planchet. I'm a program officer with Volunteer New Hampshire. I do a lot of things with our AmeriCorps grants, which is a separate grant competition. And I'm joined by Leslie and Jamie. And Leslie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Leslie Rossi. I'm the Finance and Grants Officer at Volunteer New Hampshire, so I do our fiscal compliance with all of our grant programs. Jamie?
Hi, I'm Jamie Browder. I'm the Special Program Assistant here at Volunteer New Hampshire.
Please thank her.
Thanks, Jamie. And Jamie will also be the person who you'll reach out to with technical questions and things like that throughout the grant process. All right, so you want to go to the next slide, Jamie?
Ooh, we should mention too, I don't think you said this, Emily, this is being recorded and it will be posted on our website.
Yes, you will have access to these slides as well as the recording. I know that is always the first question everyone has, but you will have access to it, we promise. And maybe even today you'll have access to it. So first off, here is our funding overview. You will find all of this information in the Notice of Funding Opportunity, but just so that we can get everything out in the open. So the purpose of this funding is really to increase your organization's capacity in some aspect of your volunteer program. So whether that's recruiting, retaining, managing, training volunteers, through a specific purchase or purchases in one eligible funding category. So what we're really looking for is organizations that really are looking like, I just need $1,000 to $4,000 because we really want to do this volunteer training for our volunteers, but we don't have it in our organization's budget. Or we really want to send this volunteer manager to this conference because they have this training that we think would really help our organization. Or hey, we don't have a computer for our volunteer manager, and we really want a computer so they can be more efficient. Things like that. Easy, quick, one-time purchases that will increase your organization's capacity in terms of its volunteer program. So you can see for the eligible funding categories, volunteer management technology. We're going to talk about this later, but volunteer manager software is not allowed in this funding opportunity, and we do that because the issue being that we're really looking to increase capacity, and because these have really short funding, the funding period is very little. So to be able to buy funding or volunteer manager software for that period would really not increase your capacity, because assuming that your organization does not have the funds to continue, you would have it for 4 months and then end it. Or on the other side, if your organization is able to continue funding it, then perhaps you wouldn't need these initial funds at all. However, we still will, if your organization wants to buy a volunteer software and they just have, they can pay for the subscription, but they need they need startup costs, this grant could pay for those because those are one-time purchases. Volunteer outreach costs, so that's really for recruiting your volunteers. Like I said, volunteer trainings, volunteer manager trainings, and volunteer program development or improvement. So if you want to hire a consultant to assess your volunteer program and, institute any changes, this would be a good use of the funds as well. For eligible organizations, we're looking for nonprofits, but state and local government agencies are also eligible to apply, as well as institutions of higher education. So, colleges. Like I said, it's 1 to 4,000. Please do not ask for anything under 1,000 or over 4,000 because we will not allow it. Um, and for important dates, due date is Friday, December 13th at 4 p.m. Please do not wait until the last minute to submit. Always assume that something will go wrong and try to submit as early as possible. We'll let you know as early as Friday, December 20th, maybe before, but we'll definitely let you know one way or the other by then. And then the grant period is just January 6th through April 15th, meaning that all your purchases must be complete and all activities done by April 15th. You submit through what we're calling the Volunteer NH online application system. So we have it through SurveyMonkey Apply, but that's what we're calling it, Volunteer NH online application system. There is the link. And there are also additional documents that you can look at, and we really recommend that you do is the Notice of Funding Opportunity. That's pretty much like you gotta read that, please, if you know nothing else about this. If you take away nothing else from this training, please read the Notice of Funding Opportunity. We also have, for your information, the application questions, all of them asked, so you can prepare them outside of the application if you would like. We also have frequently asked questions for very specific circumstances, and as well as the budget template that you'll submit your budget on and sample budgets so you can kind of see. Any questions about that so far? No? Great. Yeah, we're really trying to make this as easy as possible and as detailed as possible as well so that you can all be successful. All right, Jamie, you can go to the next one. And like I said, do you want to be successful? Please read the Notice of Funding Opportunity. You will find that any questions that you may have will be answered in there or in the additional documents. And one of the main questions is, how many applications are you expecting to fund? We find that it depends upon the specific funding amounts requested, but we typically fund somewhere between 7 to 10 applications for each grant period or for each round. But we typically get at least double that. So it is competitive. And so we're really trying to help you figure out or to preempt any issues that you might have to stop your application from being discarded. So please make sure that your application is entirely correct and complete, because most of the time when we have to throw applications out, it's because of one of the following things that we're just about to talk about. So yeah, Jamie, you can go to the next one. Oh, but first, one of the first things that people run into is that our Volunteer New Hampshire online application system is a little finicky. So one of the things that happens is that you create, if you have not already, you create a username and a sign-in for you as a person, but you also connect that to an organization because only organizations are allowed to apply for this funding opportunity. So you sign in as, Jane Doe, but your organization is XYZ nonprofit. So when you log in to your account, you automatically log into your personal account. So you're basically viewing the system as an individual. And as an individual, you cannot view opportunities or applications that are started by an organization. So all you need to do is once you sign in as a person and then you create an organization, like within your, like you basically connect your individual person to your organization account. When you log back in, all you need to do is change from your individual account to your organizational account. And the instructions to do that are right here. You just literally toggle and switch to your organization, and then you can see your application. There are also additional instructions on how to do this. We have on our website, we have step-by-step instructions on how to create an account for the first time. And then, once you've done that, set up an organization. Once you've done that, how to log back in and change to your organization. So yeah, this is definitely something that comes up. So if you log in and you can't find your application that you started, it is not gone forever. You just need to change how you view it. questions about that? No? Okay. Take it away, Leslie.
All right, so we thought it was important this round to go over some common issues we found in the last few rounds from people applying. These are things that are all outlined in the notice of funding opportunity, but we keep seeing them come up again and again, so we wanted to highlight them. One major thing that we've seen is that the intention of the funding is to provide funds to buy like a single cost, or like a few purchases that are part of one project. So, but it seems like in some applications, people are kind of trying to throw everything into it. So maybe they say that they're applying for volunteer recruitment costs, but then they're also including putting in training manuals for their volunteers and buying a laptop. So like they're adding things from different categories. So please only stick to the one category that you chose. We will likely throw out your application if you're putting things from multiple categories. So it's okay if your request is only $1,000, because it's better for you to put the one thing in for $1,000 and try to throw everything in there for $4,000, and then we're not going to get funded. Okay, and then including costs that aren't allowed. So like Emily said, we aren't allowing recurring volunteer management software. There's a lot of other costs that aren't allowed. We can't have like volunteer stipends, background checks, gifts, which just aren't allowed. Like federally, they're not allowed. So please don't include those. And then also just don't call them something else, because we have seen that where, maybe the software isn't allowed, but we're just going to call it I don't know, a recruitment cost and think that the reviewers aren't going to know what it is. So please don't do that. Make sure that the amount you request on your application matches what is in the budget that you provided. So if your budget is for $3,472, your grant request should be for $3,472. Okay, so requesting something your organization is already paying for. So it's not going to be a compelling application if you say, we do this training every year and now we want you to pay for it. It should be a new cost that will increase your capacity, because if you're already paying for it and us now paying for it isn't increasing the capacity of your volunteer program. The one caveat that I could say to that is you could make a case, I suppose, if you were already paying for something and you lost the funding to pay for it, that we could pay for it in that instance, but then you should be including that information in the narrative sections of your application. And that comes up to the next section, is answering the questions in the narrative completely. So you shouldn't assume that the reviewers know anything about your project or what you're talking about. So if you say you want to buy blah, 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 and I don't know what blah, blah, blah is, then it doesn't mean anything to us. So just please explain everything, and then also give thorough answers. You should put some thought into this, really explain to us why this purchase is going to increase your capacity. What do you plan to do with it? Also, please don't wait till the last minute to submit your application. I know that things come up, but it's frustrating to us when we have people emailing us a half an hour or 15 minutes before an application is due, and they're saying, I'm trying to create an account. Can you help me? We do everything in our power to help, but it's frustrating when this has been open for, weeks or a month and it's 10 minutes before the due date. Please ask questions. I know Emily said that everything is in the notice of funding opportunity and in the additional documents, but questions are still okay, and we're very happy to answer them, and all of our staff are really open to having those conversations. So please just ask us. And also, it helps if you say, I read the notice of funding opportunity, but I'm still a little confused. Can you help me or tell me if this is allowed? So those are our high level things that we've seen happening. Does anybody have any questions about these? No. Right. think the next slide, Jamie. So I can go over this. So if you do have questions, you can email Jamie, our special program assistant. Her contact information obviously will be on these slides that you'll get, but also it's listed on the very top of the notice of funding opportunity. And then if Jamie can't answer it, she'll find an answer or she'll connect you to either Emily or I. All of the documents are on our website and they're also linked here. If you listen to all this and you realize you're not ready to apply, or maybe a purchase you want to make is at a different time of the year, we are going to offer this every quarter. So that's this year and very likely in 2026 as well. That's crazy, 2026. So basically quarterly, the next round, and all the dates are listed out on our website. So the next round, I believe, would begin April 7th. So that's good. And yeah, so all the dates are on our website. Okay. That's it. Questions. So throw them in the chat, or you can raise your hand or just unmute and ask. Maybe we just did a really thorough job.
I would also just emphasize that I think probably the biggest or the most common error we find of the ones that we went over with is asking for costs that are in multiple categories. So when you're thinking about what you want to apply for in the application, just really look at it and be like, is this really just volunteer recruitment costs, or am I sneaking in some training costs too? And like we said, if you are unsure, definitely reach out and we will let you know to be like, yeah, that's fine, or no, you might want to consider taking that one off or asking for something else.
Oh, Carrie.
Hi, I couldn't figure out how to electronically raise my hand. Sorry.
And they moved it. Zoom is confusing us all these days. So.
Okay. I'm from Linda's Closet in Keene, an 501c3, and I just have a question. If we would like to start sort of a support group type of thing for our volunteers without getting into too many details, would something like that come under education or training? I'm just not sure how some of these things would fit into your categories.
So would it be maybe like a consultant that would develop that for you?
I guess we haven't investigated the consultant angle, but maybe it would involve having social workers or psychologists kind of come in and listen to our volunteers' concerns and educate them about how to respond to people who are undergoing trauma or in adverse situations, things like that.
That sounds like a training to me.
Training, okay. Okay, but that sounds like something that might qualify for that. Yeah, okay. Okay, and then can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Okay, in another category, well, no, I guess it would still be training or education. If we were asking for funds to support one particular volunteer, for example, a board member who might be a grant writer, for example, is that acceptable rather than a training that encompasses all of your volunteers?
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds almost more like volunteer manager. Well, they're not managing your volunteers. I guess you'd have to explain how that increases the capacity of your volunteer program.
Okay, okay. I
I
see
don't
what you're
know.
saying.
These are very specific, so we might want to we're happy to
talk.
chat. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But I like how creative you're being.
Yeah.
So that's great. Like thinking outside the box.
Okay,
It looks like
thanks.
we do have a question in the chat. Do you have examples of what previous grant winners have used funds for?
Yeah, in the last round, I know we had a couple of programs that requested funds for technology. So that was really around hardware. So like a new laptop and other technology supplies for their volunteer manager. Recruitment costs have definitely been a big one. So not just like boosting Facebook posts, so that's a thing as well, but some more actual like terrestrial, is that the right word? Things. So like people printing, using the funds to make yard signs to advertise their volunteer program, door hangers, developing videos that they can use to post through social media. So yeah, recruitment has definitely been one of the bigger ones. We've had programs that have done volunteer manager training. So like a series of different trainings for their volunteer manager. I think a lot of those were through the University of New Hampshire. Um, Emily, does anything else come to the top of your mind?
Those are definitely, yeah, those are, I think those are pretty much what everyone has done. But
Yeah,
if you're looking
we
to,
have done volunteer manuals too, like developing, printing, binding manuals. So that's definitely been a thing.
there are also some examples of what you could pay for under the categories in the frequently asked questions.
Oh, John, that what a nice compliment. Thank you very much.
This
Trying
is
to butter us up.
this is very that was not there was no butter involved in that. Just but can I ask a question while I've got the
Well, now that you've complimented us, sure.
um what if we've got a day-long strategic retreat for our board and we want to have a workshop specifically focused on volunteer recruitment or some topic around that? Could we apply to cover, say, the cost of having a speaker facilitator come in to deal with that particular topic?
Yeah, I mean, your board are volunteers, so
Right.
you're training them. That's absolutely okay.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you all will think of questions when you get off. So yeah, you can email them to Jamie. And what we do is we will get back to you and then we update the FAQs when we get questions that will be useful for everybody. So if it's super specific, we may not add it, but generally we update the FAQs. So and we put the date that that's been updated. So if something comes up, it's a good place to start looking. Danielle?
I just want to ask a clarifying question based on the questions previously asked. So I hear you saying any type of volunteer training qualifies here, irregardless of the topic of what the training session is, correct? Because there was two different training questions, but the topic, John's question had me thinking that we had to do training for volunteer to increase the volunteers. It's not that, it's just we can apply for a volunteer training irregardless of what the topic is, as long as it's helping to support that volunteer activity with our organization. Correct? Do you
Yeah, so
follow what I'm saying?
it doesn't need to increase the number of volunteers, if that's what you meant.
Yes, I
Yeah,
think
so
that's what I was
yep,
asking.
yep.
Okay,
So it's increasing the capacity in some way to
fantastic. Okay, thank you
manage
so much
or
for clarifying.
Well, the only
and
caveat,
there are some limits to what you
yeah,
could use funds to do the training for. So we do have while these aren't AmeriCorps funds, because we operate as a national service, the Commission for National Community Service in New Hampshire, we operate under the guidelines of AmeriCorps. So there are prohibited activities, and those are linked within the notice of funding opportunity. So there are some very specific things that we can't use the funds for. It's unlikely you'd probably be doing
Yeah,
trainings around them, but
I will still read the note for you and
okay.
sure, but
Yeah.
thank you.
Looks like we
Okay,
have
yep, and
another
then,
question.
yep. So Cheryl, that's a good question. So yes, you can apply up to 4,000 if the thing that you're applying for costs more than that, that's okay. So in the budget, when you look at it, there's actually a way to denote that. So say if the thing that you're buying costs, or you knew the training was going to cost $5,500, you would put that as the budget, and then it says how much funding are you requesting to cover those costs. So then you would put 4,000 or 3,000 or whatever you want to request. And then the remaining portion is your cost share. There's no matching requirement for these grants, but we know that some things might just cost more than $4,000. And then in your grant request, in the application itself, you would write the number, the dollar value of what you're requesting, not the total cost of it. Does that answer your question? All right. Well, like Emily said, we'll post this recording in the slides. And if you think of something, you tell the second you hang up, you can just email Jamie and we will get back to you as soon as we can.
Thank you and good luck.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Look forward to reading your applications.